you know, just when you think you hit a new low with this man, like the bottom falls out. And I've never seen something like this in my life. I'm not going to show it to you. For those of you who are into politics and watching me, I think you've seen it by now. But obviously the president put out a reprehensible tweet a couple days ago aimed at Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who is a representative from Minnesota. She's one of the first Muslim women to ever be elected in the United States Congress. She is, I think, politically speaking, very brave. She has brought up some of the most, sacred cow issues in Congress, which would be Israel. Full disclosure, I'm Jewish. My father and my older brother are super, super Jewish, to the point of my father might as well be the prime minister of Israel. So these are not people who necessarily love themselves, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Just keeping it real. My father, I love him, but on this we do not agree. He went to a fairly religious camp when he was younger and thinks Israel could do no wrong, and that's just how he is. I don't really talk to him about Israel because, I'm not going to change my father's mind. My older brother is also fairly religious. He's a little bit more reasonable when it comes to Israel possibly doing things wrong. But in my view, Ilhan Omar has not attacked Jewish people. She has attacked our government being bought off by AIPAC, which is a huge Israeli lobbying organization that has bought off our politicians. And if you go through presidential candidates, senators, congressmen, they get a lot of money from AIPAC and other Jewish influence organizations. So by pointing that out, Ilhan Omar pointing that out and saying, maybe we shouldn't be setting policy based on what AIPAC wants and how much money AIPAC gives you, what she's saying is no different than what Bernie Sanders is saying about the healthcare industry or the fossil fuel industry or big pharmaceutical companies or Silicon Valley or fill in your real estate developers. The list goes on. Big agricultural. She's talking about the Israel lobby. I, as a Jew, do not find that anti-Semitic. I don't. Do I agree with her on everything? No, I don't. But do I think that our politicians are bought by AIPAC? Absolutely. Because if Israel is, as we call it, the most gorgeous and the best democracy in the Middle East, and that's why United States supports Israel, because it is the only democracy in the Middle East, well, isn't it kind of undemocratic to scream anti-Semitism anytime somebody has a critique on Israel? Like, what, I've heard pundits in America criticize, leaders in the United Kingdom or Paris or Germany. So why is it that a United States congresswoman can't criticize United States politicians having undue influence by Israel? That doesn't mean she's anti-Semitic, but that has been used by Trump, the Republicans, and frankly, spineless Democrats to make Ilhan Omar seem like she's anti-Semitic. Now, when she tweeted out, it's all about the Benjamins, I know what she intended to tweet, but it could be misinterpreted that you are talking about, Jews run the world or Jews run the economy or whatever. I think that's how some people took it. I don't think that's how she meant it. I don't really think she had to apologize. I thought she should have just clarified, hey, here's what I meant. I think her apology was a pressure campaign by Nancy Pelosi and this and that. Other than that, I don't think her statements are wrong. And this statement that she made about 9/11 has been wildly misconstrued intentionally. They have been misconstruing it and spinning it to mean something entirely different. Do I agree that she basically said, just because some people did something on 9/11 doesn't mean that Muslims and people who are Muslim in America should have their civil liberties attacked. She's right. Now, can the term some people be misinterpreted like she's diminishing what happened? I guess. But I think it was very clear if you watch it that what she was talking about is terrorists who do not represent the Muslim faith. Their representation is a bastard. Their beliefs, jihad, is a bastardization of the Muslim faith. So some individuals, I actually think would have been a better way of saying it, some individuals and what they did on 9/11 should not, cast a whole broad brush over the Muslim faith, which is what Donald Trump has tried to do since he walked down that escalator and since he, as a presidential candidate, proposed a Muslim ban. And this is a message that is right. She is right. There has been an Islamophobia since 9/11. And by the way, the holy sacred Robert Mueller, who, Democrats have spun as Jesus of Nazareth, he could do no wrong. When he was FBI director after 9/11, guess what he did? He rounded up Muslims after 9/11 and detained them for questioning. Indiscriminately, by the way, in addition to in front of Congress going along with the weapons of mass destruction nonsense. So that is, Islamophobia is a real thing. And remember, if I haven't said so, press the like button. Don't forget to press the like button. More people that like, more people that will see this not live stream. So Ilhan Omar says, just because some people did something on 9/11 doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with the Muslim religion. Terrorists did that. Now, again, I'm not trying to have it both ways. I don't think she said anything wrong. I really don't. Would I have preferred her to say some individuals rather than some people? Yes, only because her message is super strong, but she needs to realize both Republicans and Democrats are going to try and doctor and spin and distract and distort what she's trying to say. So it's unfortunate that you have to be even extra cognizant of the smear machine, not just coming from the right, but coming from the left. And let's call it what it is. Nancy Pelosi, all these, Jerry Nadler, all these people, they're not liberal. They're not even progressive. They're Republicans, just, dressed up a little nicer than Trump and them. So really, it's reprehensible that Donald Trump, could they have said, you should have said the word individuals. Okay, you want to say that? Fine. Maybe she should have said, just because some individual terrorist did something doesn't mean you should paint a broad brush. I can understand why to 9/11 families and this and that, even though it's not how she intended it to say that, they might have misinterpreted what she said, because you have the Fox News propaganda machine and the President of the United States further pushing that propaganda. So Donald Trump, and I'm not going to show it because I'm not going to perpetuate the reprehensible tweet, puts out a tweet along the lines of, "We will never forget," or "We must always remember," with a video. I don't know where he got the video, superimposing the burning Twin Towers and Ilhan Omar's speech. Not so subtly, putting a target on one of the first elected Muslim congresswomen in this country. Not only is he putting a target on her back, and the death threats have been coming in fast and furious, he is not so subtly trying to frame her as a terrorist. That's what that tweet by our president was. He was trying to frame her as a terrorist. And Twitter, what have they done? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because Twitter, they ban progressives, they ban kooky conservatives for God knows what. A lot of times it's totally arbitrary and doesn't really follow any coherent policy. But when the president of the United States literally is inciting a hit, I'm not being dramatic. What he's doing is going to incite loose cannons who are anti-Muslim and racist and bigoted and delusional and mentally ill to target not just Ilhan Omar, but her family, her friends, and those linked to her. This is what the President of the United States is doing. And Fox News is aiding in. And frankly, the Democratic Party is not so silently complicit. Nancy Pelosi comes out originally, doesn't even use Ilhan Omar's name, her first response to this, and kind of straddles the line between, well, although we need to, be somewhat, we need to be cognizant of 9/11 and blah, 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 but the president shouldn't be doing this. No, it should have been unequivocal defense of Ilhan Omar by name. Same thing with, progressive, who's not a progressive, he's a Republican, he's a skinny jeans, stand on top of a bar. Progressive Beto O'Rourke didn't say Ilhan Omar's name in his tweet. Same with, Mayor of the Week, America's mayor that CNN and MSNBC are prostituting themselves over right now, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, said a nice little tweet, didn't mention her name. Why is that? Is that a tacit kind of wink, wink? We take a lot of money from pro-Israel people, and we don't want to defend her, but we also can't be silent. So we're going to kind of do a mix of nothing. We're going to say this is reprehensible, but not actually say the person's name. Of course, Bernie Sanders came out with a strong statement. But on the same token, got to keep it real, to Bernie Sanders, very disappointing that he has been silent on Julian Assange, which I spoke with Dr. Jill Stein about in our interview, which is up on this channel. We spoke yesterday, and that's up in full if you want to watch that interview. So, Donald Trump follows up today. It's still sometimes, I just feel like I'm being punked. Before Nancy, who has lost all control of Congress and is getting nothing done, decides to defend her leader, Rep. Omar, she should look at the anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, and ungrateful U.S. hate statements Omar has made. She is out of control, except for her control of Nancy. First of all, and a lot of you are not going to like this, but I always tell you, I keep it real, whether you like it or not. I can't stand Nancy Pelosi. I cannot stand her. She's a Republican. I'd rather her come out as a Republican and stop pretending to be progressive. She has done more as a Democrat, other than Obama and the Clintons, to stifle progress than anyone I could think of. Her, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Hillary Clinton, and Bill should go to a deserted island and never come back, as far as I'm concerned. But the President of the United States should call her Speaker Pelosi. Okay? I'm calling her Nancy because I'm not the President of the United States. And when I tweet Speaker Pelosi. She's the Speaker of the House, and the President of the United States should respect that office and the fact that she was the first woman speaker, whether you like her or not. So, number one, that's reprehensible. But Omar, she should look at the anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, and ungrateful U.S. hate statements from Omar. I have seen Ilhan Omar make statements celebrating Jewish holidays, celebrating the Jewish people, making a point to say, I'm not against Jewish people, I have Jewish friends, but I have certain criticisms of Israel, and I have criticisms of AIPAC, which is a highly influential lobbying firm. And you know what? God bless them. If my father is watching right now, if my mother is watching right now, they're not going to be happy with me, because, again, they're very pro-Israel, but I have to speak to what I believe. And I'm pro-Israel. I'm not going to lie. Some of you might not like that either. But I don't think Israel could do no wrong. I think Netanyahu is Dick Cheney in Israel. And I think Israel has indiscriminately responded in many situations to the Palestinians. But that's not what we're even talking about. She's talking about that in Congress, our politicians are bought by AIPAC. That is not denouncing Israel. That is not saying we should totally cut ties with Israel and blah, blah, blah. I haven't heard her say Israel is a terror state. I haven't heard her say any of these things. She's saying policy towards Israel or any other country should not be dictated how much money these politicians are taking from influential lobbying organizations. That's not anti-Semitic. And frankly, it is a insult to people who experience real anti-Semitism, because anti-Semitism incidents are up not just in the United States but around the world, especially in Europe, over the last few years. So by crying anti-Semitism whenever someone has a credible critique of Israel, you are part of the problem. But right now, I want to point out who really is part of the problem. Jack Dorsey at Twitter. And I don't really care if this gets me screwed more on Twitter, because they're already suppressing my Twitter. I have like almost 86,000 Twitter followers at Jordan Chariton, if you haven't followed me. We're at Status Quo, by the way, at Status Quo. However, somehow my tweets barely get seen. And I have people all the time being like, are you still on Twitter? Because I never see your tweets. People who follow me. Interesting, Jack. But how is it that the President of the United States puts out a tweet that makes a video mixing a Muslim congresswoman with the burning towers? It's harassment, it's incitement, it's violent. Nothing happens to the president. Could it be that Twitter gets money from Republicans? Could it be that Twitter gets money from Democrats who are very, very pro-Israel and are buying into this smear that she's anti-Israel? Could it be? Twitter has no credibility on who should be suspended or who's violating, terms of service, because that reprehensible tweet by our president is still up. And it's not just Nancy Pelosi. Chuck Schumer has not said a word. Maybe as this goes up, he has said something. But as I'm recording this, he hasn't said a word. So the Democrats are complicit. Finally, Nancy Pelosi came out later after her first spineless tweet saying, I have contacted the, security to check in on Congresswoman Ilhan's safety and called on the president to take down the tweet. Thank you for doing it. Too late. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.